Good evening, welcome to SJAM Boxing. Today we're joined by legend. I'll be nice, Shane, to start off with. Legend Shane Watson from SJAM. Good evening, Shane.
Hey, what's going on? Carl, Andy, pleasure to have me on. Legend. Do you know what? I think that's the first time anyone's ever called me that, So I'll take that one.
Well, I'll expect the tickets in the post when Joe fights. Okay, but we'll move on from that.
We're doing all right these days. But legendary, bloody hell. I think I've got a bit of way to go before I get there yet,
I'll do out for a freebie, Shane, out for a freebie. And then we've got B-side, and
Pleasure.
Shane, we'll jump straight into it, Shane, because time's money and all that. So we'll start off with some of your fighters. Obviously, firstly, congratulations on your promotion. Very well deserved. So congratulations. I'll kick off with Florian Marku. Obviously, good win against Jenkins.
Yeah.
Calling out Mr. Amir Khan post-fight, which was quite entertaining. Where do you think he goes next, Shane?
Oh, see, the thing is, right? Like, Chris Jenkins, I matchmake all of our fighters' fights, yeah? With the assistance, obviously, of the trainer and whatnot. I don't think you're fighting Amir and whatever. But, with the assistance of trainers, and obviously Florian trained by the world-class Grant Smith, that's a massive helping hand to have advising you a new Florian to fight. So I picked out that it was important for Sky for Florian to fight a British opponent next. So I looked at the British opponents that were available, and Grant picked out a guy, I think it was 9-0, I think he was the Midland champion. And I thought, I don't think Sky are going to be quite happy with someone like that. I think they want someone that's been around, had some good fights with a few guys, got a few wins, like a British level, international level. And I looked, and I was like, Chris Congo, no one really knows who he is. So without being disrespectful, no one knows who he was. He just lost to Michael McKinson. So even if you beat him, Michael McKinson's just beating him, don't really get a lot of credit there. Then I looked at a few other guys, and I was like, Chris Jenkins, I was like, 2-time British champion, Commonwealth champion as well, IBF international, just come off of a victory over former IBF and IBO champion Julius Ndongo. I was like, well-known amongst British fans. And you know what? More so than anything, even if you beat Chris Congo and whatnot, you don't really know what level you are fighting at yet. Because, who knows what level Chris Congo is at? His best win is Luther Clay, yeah? But you beat someone like Chris Jenkins and you beat him well, then that tells you that you're above British level. Because that's a solid British level fighter. He's operated even slightly higher at British level, but you have to say these days, British level fighter. So I thought we go in there, that's a win-win for everyone. We'll get to know how good Florian is. Grant will have that good learning fight with him, and it keeps Sky happy. So it was the perfect fight for Florian at the time. Yeah. Went in there. The game plan was always to have a feel about Chris Jenkins out, see what kind of game plan he brings. So I was expecting Florian to lose the first round, and then I thought he started to take control a bit more in round 2 or 3. Then boom, he caught him a right hook over the top, caught him with the same right hook again straight afterwards. And he done his eardrum and got the TKO in the fastest fashion. I mean, even Echo Esserman, who's the only other guy to have ever stopped Chris Jenkins, it took him 8 rounds. So it's a massive compliment to Florian's ability and to his punch power that he could get rid of such a tough man who's fought many great fighters over the years. And still has a lot left in the tank, by the way. I think Chris Jenkins was Congo and that's still a good fight. So for Florian to get him out there in 4 rounds, I don't think anyone expected Florian to knock out Chris Jenkins, including myself. In 4 rounds. I thought this was going to be a tough night. I thought there were going to be a lot of close rounds, and I thought that maybe Florian would get him out there late if he stuck to the game plan. But after 4 rounds, even I have to say, I was really impressed with that result.
So throw some names in about where he goes.
So what's that?
So, did you want to come in, Andy?
I was just going to miss Congo before you said kind of off dismissed him. Saying he was at the arena, wasn't he? Last fight, trying to kind of push for a fight. I think are you missing that? Then are you moving on to bigger and better things?
Disrespectfully towards Chris Congo at all. I mean, Chris is a guy that I've seen around the boxing circuit for a number of years. I've known him, a very good amateur. He's had a good win as a pro, I guess. Luther Clay, I mean, if that's even that good of a win, because Luther Clay really is a 145. He doesn't really operate 147, but it's a win. He got a belt for it, so I guess it's still a decent win. Lost to Michael McKinson, got dropped by Michael McKinson. Well, that was the most shocking part of that fight. And I just don't mean to be disrespectful here. Florian holds all the marbles, yeah? He's got the name, he's got the fan base, he's got the world ranking. Like, I don't really see what Florian brings all the money to the table as well. Like, I don't really see what Chris Kongo brings to the table. I mean, it'd be a bit more of a statement if Chris Kongo went and fought like Avanesian and won, or went and fought like, I don't know, rematch Michael McKinson and beat him, or I don't know, like, go and beat some guys, go and beat some decent fighters, and then come back to us. Like, you can't. He hasn't beaten a guy as good as Maxime Proden. He hasn't beaten a guy as good as Chris Jenkins. His best win is probably on par with the Ryan Charlton victory. Like, really, like Ryan Charlton and Luke Clay probably be quite a good fight. They're both smaller guys, so like coming off of that, I just don't see what Chris Kongo at this moment in time, and it's not disrespect to him at all, brings to the table. And Florian is going to go into the top 10 in the IBF now. He's got a massive fan base. He's looking at selling out his national stadium in Albania next in late August, early September, earning very good money. Like, Chris Kongo is not bringing, not all those things, as I said to you. Chris Kongo doesn't bring one of those to the table. So it literally makes zero sense. And by the way, Chris Kongo is a good fighter and it's tough. So if you're going to fight someone that's good and tough, which we're open to do, you've got to bring some valuables to the table. Yeah. And at the moment, he doesn't bring anything. So it'd be poor on our behalf. Not on Florian's behalf, because he'll fight anyone because he's a fighting man. But on our behalf, to put him in there with Chris Kongo, because he doesn't bring anything to the table.
Yeah. So obviously IBF's the route you're looking to go, I'd imagine. That fight in Albania, is there any names that are in the melting pot that you're able to tell us who may be opponents?
So the plan is for this one, being honest. So obviously that was Florian's first fight with his new trainer, Grant Smith. And they've only been working, by the way, for about 10 weeks at a time, if that. So, I mean, it's not if we're really looking at it, fighting Chris Jenkins after 8 to 10 weeks of your new trainer, being at your career biggest step up as well. Yeah. Was like quite a brave and risky move looking back on it, really. So I think now we need another fight, similar level, maybe slightly lower, just so they get to gel more with each other. Because what some trainers do, they go in low to get to know each other and gel, and then they go up, and then they come back. So we kind of want to go steady there, the same level, I think, for his next fight. We haven't got any names, actually, to be honest. But we're going to look for an international opponent. Right. I mean, it doesn't have to be a British name, because, I mean, obviously we fought in Britain before, so it's a bit more appealing there was. But, yeah, we're going to look for an international opponent, one with, like, decent record. It'll be another title defence, so it's not going to be, like, a nobody. It's going to be someone that's going to come and give it a good go. And we're looking at selling out 33,000 people in the Albanian National Stadium. Wow. So it's going to be a big night, big event on Sky Sports, normal Sky Sports subscription service. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But we're looking late August, early September, yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Shane, just one more question on Florian before we move on.
Yeah,
obviously, he was with Matchroom before.
Yeah.
What was the thought process behind him moving to Boxer?
Well, basically what it was is, so we've got some guys with Matchroom, Johnny Fisher, who Matchroom did a superb job for, built him up into be a big name already. Got John Hedges there, he fights on May 21st on the Boazzi Richards undercard. We've got Lerrone Richards there. So, but for us, we felt like Florian Marku was made for the pay-per-view service platform, which obviously made out of his personality. And we believe he's got the boxing ability for it as well. And he's got the following. He's got the fan base for all of those things. And we felt like, at the moment, the Zone, I know they brought out a pay-per-view product in the US as of May 7th. Yeah. But in the UK, they haven't really brought that into touch. And I feel like with Florian, he's a bigger name at Sky, like in the sense of he's one of Sky's more important fighters. Whereas in Matchroom, he would just almost be like another one of the fighters that they have there, in a sense of like they've got loads of great big names there already. So yeah, the whole product has worked really. He's highly respected at Boxer. They've given him what he's wanted so far, and they're taking him to Albania, and that was a big part of the deal. That's Albania's. That's Florian's dream. I mean, it's probably even Albania's dream, to be honest. But he's a massive superstar there, and they honestly like. Sometimes I get messages how they call him God and stuff in Albania. It's crazy. Like, he's unbelievably worshipped there. He's like the only way I can explain him is that almost like what David Beckham is here, or the Queen even is here, like over there. Like they worship him. He's almost all they have on the elite level combat sports side of things. So, and he gives them all a lot of hope because he came from a bad background himself. He didn't have a lot as a kid, and he didn't have the best background. So he kind of gives them all hope that they can kind of reach the top and earn a lot of money and have a good life for themselves.
And they're very vocal, aren't they, Shane? You can hear them, can't you, when they're in the arena, them Albanian fans, you know. It sounds loud. I've not seen him live, but it sounds really good atmosphere when you hear it on the TV. So it must be great when you see him live.
Yeah, they're absolutely crazy. And like, do you know what it is? It reminds me of like, so when I go to watch Rangers play, and like, I go like a Rangers away day in Europe, and like the passion that you're like, the emotions that you go through watching them play. I mean, because Rangers never make it easy for themselves either. So like, it happens quite often. It'll probably be happening tonight as well. But like, and you feel it, and like you see everyone else just going crazy. Like it means everything, and they're like that for him, and it is literally the same for him. And like they're crying in the crowd, they're cheering, they're like, it's crazy. Like they bring the flags out. Like some of them travel from all over the world. Like when was the last one? There are Albanian fans from Canada, from New York. There are Albanian fans, obviously from Albania. There were fans. He lived in Kosovo for a while as well. He's got fans that come from there. He could sell a national stadium there apparently too. He gets people come from all over the place, and it's just a testament to how big of a name he is, really.
Yeah.
And hence why he's been able to move along the way that he has. I mean, the fan base and where he's fighting on, like headlining shows or chief support on big shows, are usually like something you'd expect from an Olympian. This is a guy that has no boxing background whatsoever. He fought in MMA and had some kickboxing fights, but no actual pure boxing background. Yeah, so that just shows you the power that he is. Over 700,000 followers on Instagram, which is like astounding for boxing, really, especially the level that he's operated at and whatnot. It just shows you how big of a name he is, really.
Yeah. So moving on from Florian, then, my personal favourite fighter within your stable, I don't mind admitting this, Lerrone Richards.
Yeah.
So Andy will testimony to it that I really rate Richards. I met him recently in Nottingham at the Lee Wood fight card. What a nice fellow he is as well.
Yeah, lovely man.
But obviously he's not been out since December. Is that right? Last year?
Yeah. Carlos Gongora.
So what's the plan with him then, Shane? Because obviously he's looking for that big fight, isn't he?
Yeah, and you know what? This is the worst thing about Lerrone, and it's so annoying. I'm being deadly honest with you now, right? Completely honest. Not one that's super middleweight at world level wants to fight him. He has wanted to fight everyone. He wants to fight anyone and everyone. He can't even afford to be picky because no one wants to fight him. So, like, whoever he does get the option to fight, he's kind of got to have him anyway. And I'm telling you, we thought the Gongora fight originally it was a massive risk, and we thought, you know what, you beat him, Lerrone, they have to fight you because, like, you're announcing yourself on the elite level world stage of that division. Because Gongora is right up there with them all. I don't care what anyone says. And it didn't. It made it worse, actually. It made it worse. We were going to fight. We were quite set on fighting Felix Sturm. They came forward with a big financial offer, which would have been pretty much life-changing for Lerrone, actually. It was more than 4 times what he'd ever earned before.
Wow.
And it was just an opportunity for him to get his name out there again on a big stage. I know that Felix Sturm's seen better days, but he's obviously still a massive name.
Yep.
And it was a chance to headline in a big arena in Germany. And we were all set to go for it. But what he was doing was he was fighting an IBO super middleweight final eliminator. And I'd already said, I don't get why they just don't fight the final eliminator and just get in there straight away. But he wanted that final eliminator anyway, and he ended up losing. So that kind of knocked that option out the door. So that was kind of frustrating because we were quite set on that. And then we were looking at IBF eliminators and whatnot, and it just wasn't kind of really happening, and it's just been a bit slow. We're now looking at like an international title fight, but it's difficult, honestly. He is a really difficult fighter to matchmake for and not because he doesn't want to fight the guys that matchmake in that sense, because no one wants to fight him. And if they do, they want money that doesn't exist. So that's the problem we have at the moment. But what I can promise you is we will be getting some better news for Lerrone in the foreseeable future. This is what it is. We're just going for a really sticky patch, which he completely understands. We're in good contact with him about it all the time as well, about where his career's at and about who he fights and whatnot. But we're getting there. We're getting closer, and we're getting closer to a resolution for it all.
I can understand why it's avoided now. I will use the word avoided because it's all wrong for people, isn't it? Slick, difficult to hit. So is there any penciled in date, Shane, when he might be out next? Yeah.
He'll definitely be out this summer. He'll 100% be out this summer. I think for Lerrone, coming off a bit of inactivity, I mean, he's never had his active career anyway, but a bit of inactivity, I think it'd be sensible for him to have a 10-round international fight. And then he goes straight into anyone at world level. When I say anyone, I mean anyone, like anyone, like any at world level at all. So he will fight anyone there is they put in front of him for anything, as long as the money's right, which it will be.
Yeah.
And as long as the opportunity makes sense. So.
And he don't even care if that's Canelo, does he?
You're fighting Canelo. But listen, the only reason why we're making that bit of noise, I know that people say about like laughing at Lerrone. I'm not being funny. Yeah? If you're mentioning John Ryder's name about fighting Canelo, yeah, John Ryder who robbed Danny Jacobs. I love John Ryder. So I feel almost a bit disrespectful saying that, but I'm just talking facts here. Yeah? Why doesn't Lerrone get mentioned in the same sentence? Lerrone just beat an on-form knockout artist in Carlos Gongora, who smashed Ali Akhmedov to bits in the 12th round and knocked him out, and was the IBO champion, and no one wanted to fight him. Lerrone just beat him and beat him comfortably, no matter what the scorecard said. Yet we're not going to get mentioned in the same breath. John Ryder, let's make John Ryder against Lerrone Richards. Let's see if John Ryder wins 10 seconds of any round in that fight. He won't. I don't know if Lerrone will stop him, but that'd be a 120, 108 job. Simple, you know. And the reason why they don't want to fight him. Why don't they want to fight him then? Like, that's it. Like, and I think Lerrone, stylistically, is a tough fight for Canelo. Anyway, a southpaw, slick southpaw, good chin, good engine, lives the life. That's the difference in Billy Joe Saunders. He didn't live the life, and they caught him in a later round. Lerrone Richards, you don't even see him drink a bottle of Coke like anyone else. Like, the Gigs just lives the life of a clean athlete, one of the most professional fighters I've ever met in my life. Always has an 8-pack, always is in unbelievable shape, always in the gym. Like, even now, he's probably only about 8 pounds over the fight weight. And like, he hasn't had a fight day since December. So that's the kind of man that he is. He just lives the life and he loves boxing. He doesn't do boxing because he has to or because he chooses to. He does boxing because he loves it. And that's what he was made to do.
Shane, the division's a little bit of standstill at the minute because obviously Canelo's moving up. And by the sounds of it, they've planned his next 3 fights. Golovkin, the possibility of John Ryder in the UK. So Lerrone's going to have to kind of force his way, in my opinion, into the world rankings. I think he's sat at number 10 with the IBF. Is that right?
Yeah. So at number 10 in the IBF, number 12 in WBC. The thing is, these rankings, like, without again disrespecting these people, it's just a load of shit, really. Like, some of the people I've seen ranked above Lerrone, and they haven't even beaten a guy at European level yet. It's a joke. Like, I'm like, this is a guy that's been British Commonwealth, European champion. If you're a European champion, you're instantly meant to be WBC number 5. It's a part of the rules, and they never did it. I was like the same with Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce got put number 5 when he won the European against Daniel Dubois, yeah? And then he won the WBC silver as well, so they moved up even higher. And then he defended that against Carlos Hakam, so he went up to, I think, number 2 now, yeah? Like, they didn't even put Lerrone in the top 5 when he won the European. They didn't even follow their own rules. I was like, it's a load of shit, to be honest. It pisses me off because, like, the fact that he's only 1 place above Gongora, who is also too low ranked in there, by the way. But how can you say that Lerrone is the number 13 in the superweight division? It's just crazy. Like, you got people like Scardina fighting on Match of Italy shows against nobodies. He's ranked like number 7. Yeah, that's bollocks. It's just bullshit. He's never been treated fairly by any of the governing bodies. He never has been, and like, it is what it is. But we have spoken about him potentially fighting an eliminator for one of those belts, but I can't say which one it is yet.
No worries.
I was just about to say, is it likely that Matchroom are going to have to pay somebody more than they're worth to get the fight to put Lerrone right up there in the rankings?
I mean, yeah, that's the discussion that we actually had when we first signed with them. So where Lerrone's name wasn't maybe where it should have been at the time, as British and Commonwealth champion, which is what he was when he signed with Matchroom, they were going to have to basically, do that, like pay more money than maybe what they should do and whatnot. Because whereas Lerrone has got obviously the ability at world level, he didn't necessarily have the name either. So I get the struggle to get the bigger names in, especially with the risk matching up the reward. That's the thing, isn't it? But then if you believe in your man and you back your man, then that's what you have to do. That's what you do, you know? I mean, they're the kind of risks you take if you really believe your guys that talented.
And historically, Shane, we like the super middleweight division in Britain, don't we? We've had some very good fighters in it, and now I think Lerrone could take over that division quite easily from a world level, in my view. So I just think he needs a bit of a promotional, a push by Matchroom, to be honest. Get them big names in there, and I think let Lerrone show what he can do.
Listen, if Zach Parker beats Demetrius Andrade, that's a great dust-up. We'd have that at Pride Park. We'd go to Pride Park, no problem. Lerrone will be out boxing, won't win a round against Lerrone anyway. So we'll go there and do that. Listen, Lerrone will fight anyone anyway, as long as the money's right and the opportunity makes sense and he's given the right notice. He'll fight anyone. It's just the way he is.
Yeah. Okay, finally moving on to Joe Joyce then. Obviously, you tipped me the wink that there's going to be an announcement on Saturday night, which the duly was. I personally think this is a great fight with Joe Parker. So break it down for us, Shane. How do you think this one goes?
So he's fighting Joseph Parker July 2nd. Wembley Arena. All exclusive information, by the way, not been released yet. But yeah,
appreciate it, Shane. Appreciate it.
That's it. Yeah, July 2nd. So book your hotels up soon because it'll be expensive after they get announced anyway. So so big fight. I think it could be for the WBO interim. I don't think that's done yet, but I think that's the plan because it's number 1 versus number 2, so it makes a bit of sense. And basically, this puts a bit more pressure on the winner of AJ Uysk to have to fight us next. It's a big fight. I think Parker's shown a lot of improvements under Andy Lee. But them improvements for me are not good enough. I mean, even against Chisora, he shows rounds where he has to take rounds off all the time because he lacks with the engine. I mean, if there's one man in world boxing you don't want to be in there with, if you're lacking a bit of an engine, it's Joe Joyce at the end of the day. I expect it to be the first 3 to 4 rounds. I think Parker might control and have a lot of success early on. And I then expect Joe to close the gap, to really start to stick it on Parker. Parker starts to feel it a little bit. Doesn't like it when it gets tough. As much as he is a very tough man, he doesn't like it when it gets tough. And that's when I start to see Joe picking him apart and having a lot more success, wearing Parker down. And I would be very surprised if Joe doesn't stop Joseph Parker, become the first person. I think Joe Parker's got a great chin, and everyone can have a great chin, and that means a lot. But once you're fucked and you're tired, and it's a very lonely place once you're in there with Joe Joyce, there's only going to be one way out, and that's if someone throws in the towel or if Parker's just had enough. And I think that could happen on that fight. Because I just think your chin being really good doesn't really matter if you've got nothing left in the tank. Yeah. And you're getting hit with 43 unanswered shots like Takam did by Joe Joyce. What more can you do? You're not Iron Man or something. You're just going to be getting written off out of there, aren't you? So
I mean, on our live show, and Andy will confirm this, I go into bat a lot for Joe Joyce because I think he takes a lot of shit because of his boxing style. People underestimate Joe Joyce a lot. So what are your thoughts on all this negativity around his boxing style and people saying he's too slow, blah, blah, blah?
It's part of the point of being at world level boxing. You're going to get some people that love you, you're going to get some people that hate you. I think I can understand why some people think that about Joe, but just ask the people that get in there with him then and ask what they think. Ask the people that spar him. Ask the people. Look what Tyson Fury says about him. We were speaking about fighting Tyson Fury when the Dylan White fight thought we weren't going to happen, and Tyson Fury said, "There's no way I'm fighting Joe Joyce." This guy is a hard night's work for anyone. He's more than a hard night's work. These guys don't want to be fighting someone like that for 12 rounds. It's crazy. No one else got an engine like him. People can keep criticising him, but he keeps proving the critics wrong. Yep. No one gave him a shot against Dubois. I mean, even people thought Takam might beat him as well, and he knocked him out as well, like quicker than anyone ever has done in history, by the way. Like, so people can keep writing him off. At the end of the day, he's going to keep proving the critics wrong. That's not why he's doing it, but he's going to keep doing it anyway. And he's going to win a world title next year. So, like, people can keep saying what they want. At the end of the day, all that matters is Joe gets a big W every time he gets in the ring, and he will do. And he'll beat Joseph Parker, and then people have to give him respect because Joseph Parker's a world-level name, ex-world champion, coming off of 2 very good wins in the UK. Yep. Especially the last one, that was a very good performance from Derek Chisora, dropping him 3 times. Should have got him out of there, to be honest, but whatever. And people have to give Joe respect after that.
Shane,
go on, and
Shane, you've got two choices here. The way I look at it, for Joe. You've got the WBO route, which is obviously what this fight's for, the interim, as you were saying,
absolutely,
or maybe the final eliminator. With Joe being sat at number 1, he's in the prime spot, and then Joe Parker being at number 2. But they're also very highly ranked in the WBC rankings.
Yeah.
Joe Joyce is number 2. Joe Parker's number 3. And if you believe anything that Tyson Fury says, he's retiring. So that belt becomes vacant. Sat at number 1 in the rankings, which I just can't believe, is Wilder still.
I know. I don't know how he hasn't won a fight for over 3 years, has he?
No, I don't see Wilder fighting. I don't see Wilder fighting. I think he's done. I think he's retired, which then puts Joe Joyce in the prime spot, number 1 spot, for a vacant belt, which surely gets the first shot at.
I mean, yeah. So this is actually all true. The only problem I have with that, I don't know how likely it is that Tyson Fury retires. I just think, he's such a tongue-in-cheek human being, and I think that's why he's one of the most loved people in Britain as well. But like, I can't really bank Joe's career on what Tyson Fury says. In essence, I mean, it's a great way of looking at it because, listen, we'd fight Deontay Wilder for WBC heavyweight title. That all these fights at world level are going to be very difficult. That's why it's world level, isn't it? So, but at the end of the day, we've stayed loyal to the WBO. We've made that clear. That's the path we'll go down. That's why we're going to potentially be fighting with the WBO interim. But listen, we do also hold the WBC silver, which is why our ranking's so high. Obviously, after our good victory at WBC, to get the WBC silver title as well and defence. But whatever opportunity arises first is almost the road we'll go down with Joe. You know, Joe's no 28-year-old prospect. You know, he's 36, 37 this year. So we do need to get him a world title shot sooner rather than later. But it's an interesting landscape, the heavyweight division right now, you know. I mean, being the WBO mandatory isn't a bad place to be either. For the winner of Uysk against AJ is also very lucrative for Joe as well, isn't it? Maybe not so lucrative, not as lucrative as the Wilder fight, you know. So, and Wilder's a much more risky fight. I mean, Joe is known to get caught a bit fighting a guy like Wilder, you know, maybe not always the wisest option out of them all. But listen, like I said, they're all fights at world level. Like Usyk could be stylistically a harder fight for Joe than what Wilder is. So, and the same could be for AJ. They're all tough fights. They're all world level, and whoever he's fighting is going to be it's going to be a world champion, or in Wilder's position, ex-world champion. But yeah, they're all very difficult fights. But whatever one kind of makes the most sense is the one that we'll go for, and we'll have to wait for that opportunity to rise. Because, like I said, I don't believe that Fury is going to walk out of boxing now as arguably the number 1 biggest star with probably a payday that is going to be bigger than all of his other fights put together. It'd be crazy.
You could argue, Shane, couldn't you? He's coming into his prime for 1, and 2, his next 2 fights are his biggest fights of his career. So,
but then again, it is difficult, isn't it? It's easy me saying it, just sitting here in my office, just like relaxing. But you've got 6 kids at home. He's unfortunately lost 2 in the past. He's got a wife he's been with since he was 16. He's proven how much of a great fighter he is. He's had many great nights, many great wins. He's got over 100 million in the bank. Sometimes you just think, and he's 33, he's still got his full health intact.
Yeah.
Maybe he just thinks, do I need to do some more? Maybe another question is, does he want to? And if you are even 2%, if you only want to do it 98%, it's not enough. This sport is too dangerous, especially as a heavyweight, because these guys are all punch, man. Like, and he's been boxing since he was 8. He's been a pro since he was 18. So that's, I think 14 years he's been a pro, right? And then he's done his amateur and whatnot. It's a long time to be getting punched in the head for a living. Do you know what I mean? And eventually it does take its toll. And like I said, he's got 6 kids. He's got a wife. Like maybe he wants to start enjoying their life. 2 of these kids have got a bit older now. I think they're in senior school and stuff. So he pretty much missed out on their, like, growing up, like through primary school and infant school. He's missed out on a lot. He probably doesn't want to miss out on it with all of these kids, you know. He said he's at happiest when he's training, when he's at home with his kids being a dad, like taking them to school and whatnot. So maybe it is time he wants to do. That's why you never really know. I mean, I watched that Piers Morgan interview last night, actually, and in that one, he did. Like, I know he's a very religious man, and he was swearing on some kind of religious thing. I can't remember specifically what he was saying. So going off of that, it would make it seem like it was something he's very serious about. But it might be one of those things he's serious about for a year, then maybe he's not. Who knows? Yeah. But like I said, if it's a sport that you're not 100% invested in at all times, then it's a sport that you really shouldn't be in because it's too dangerous otherwise.
Out of interest, Shane, you'll have a much better insight into this than we would. How long would the WBC allow him to sit with a belt before another fight is made or a decision is made as to whether he retires or hands the belt back.
What they may do is, right, so that was Fury's mandatory. So essentially, he doesn't actually have to fight for another year. It's a bit like what Gary Russell Jr. used to do. You know, where he used to just fight his mandatories like every 18 months or something. And then he wouldn't fight again, like randomly. And then, so he could kind of essentially do that. But they could also make him champion in emeritus. So what that would mean is that any time he wants to come back, he's instantly mandatory. Do you know, actually, the champion in emeritus right now is still Vitaly Klitschko. Quite mentally, actually. So he could literally come back today and be Tyson Fury's mandatory, which is crazy. But he, so they could do something like that. I could imagine him doing something like that. They could make him franchise champion. That could be another example. Then they'll just make a normal WBC that carries on going. Yeah, there's loads of things like that they can do, and something like that I'm assuming they would do because Fury's got a great relationship with WBC and Mauricio Suleiman. So I can't imagine it can be like, sorry, Tyson, we're going to take that belt off you, and then you run off into the distance. I don't think it's going to work that way, but it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months because I think it would get a bit more of a clearer picture. Where everything's so raw, Tyson will stick on this feeling, but then I think we'll really know in 3 or 4 months' time if Tyson's got any intention of fighting because then you'll be speaking about another fight date, and by then you'd be looking at what date we're on now. Yeah, so AJ against Usyk will be done because that's on July 23rd. So then all the talk will be around fighting Fury, and then you'll start to hear and see if Fury's actually going to come back.
Yeah. Shane, half an hour done, so we'll call it to a halt there because I know you're looking forward to the match tonight. So let me just go on record and thank you for joining us, Shane. Really appreciate your time. Quick prediction for AJ versus Usyk before you go because we're unlikely to get you back on the channel.
Do you know, I'm a bit worried about Usyk, about the weight loss he's had and all the things he's got on his mind actually at the moment. I'm hearing things that he's picked up an injury in camp as well, but if all of that is untrue, you can't pick Usyk because Usyk's the guy. If you don't get him the first time, you won't get him the second time. He's one of the worst people you can rematch. The same as Andre Ward and the same as Floyd Mayweather. Once they've figured you out, you are done. Your organoids is the same, actually. But these guys, they operate completely differently. You won't catch them with the same shot or the same thing twice. Once you get them once, you have to get them, and that's it. So, like, I just feel like rematching someone like Usyk is just the worst kind of decision you can make, if I'm completely honest. Especially going with a new trainer as well. I just feel like I don't think almost any time is adequate time to prepare for Usyk, but definitely your first fight with a new trainer ain't going to be the answer to that. And I don't think AJ's got the engine or the style to deal with someone like Usyk. So this time I actually have to pick Usyk by stoppage because I just see him. That was Usyk's real first fight at heavyweight because I can't count Chisora because he's a small heavyweight anyway. Real first fight at heavyweight, and he did that to someone. Someone who's been a 2-time world heavyweight champion and had many world title defenses. Can you imagine what he's going to be like the second time? Now he's got all of that experience, all that knowledge, and he knows he can fight heavyweight and whatnot. But he's just going to be a beast. He's just going to be a nightmare. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. But if it's the fully fit Usyk that we know, then I just can't see him. I can't see past him stopping AJ. I just can't.
Brilliant. Again, Shane, thanks for your time, fella. Enjoy the match, and we'll catch up with you soon. Okay, take care.
Thanks, guys. You look after yourselves. Take care, yeah?
Take care. Cheers.
Take care, guys.